Okay, we're back with a little bit of an impromptu look at new spoilers. I wasn't expecting them, so this will be interesting. I apologize if some of the images are pixelated, that's just how they downloaded. So let's just get right into it. First, we have Count D'Artagnan. It's 2 green, 4/6, Catman Musketeer. And you can pay 1 green to deal 100 damage to target resonator, and said resonator will lose fly until end of turn. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It could probably work pretty cool with certain themes. I know, like, just at our last tournament, Melissa was talking about how she wish the thing that killed her deck was not being able to block flying, so having something to just take that away even briefly while still having a resonator on the field would probably help a lot. Next we have Aliceris, Scholar of Phenomena. He's a 1 blue, 1 red, 1 void, 7/6 wizard, and he has quick cast, and when he enters your field, you may remove a chant in your graveyard from the game, and when he hits the graveyard, you get to put 1 chant, or you get to play a chant that's in your removed area. He's pretty cool. He can slot into a couple different decks if you want to. He kind of might work in a soul deck. Removed area isn't really in play much, so it'd just be whatever he removes you'd be able to play later. But just in the Ascended Aliceris deck, red-blue in that deck could actually turn out to be kind of cool. And being able to grab and play any chant in your removed area just from a resonator dying is a nice side effect. Plus he has quick cast, which is always helpful with resonators. Next we have Jeanne d'Arc, the Maid of Orleans. She's a 1 blue, 1 yellow, 1 void, 6/6 myth. And when she enters the field, you gain 600 life, and when it's put into the graveyard from my field, you get to draw a card. I really like all of her effects. I think 3 cost for only a 6/6 is a little bit high, but I mean her effects are still good. Gives you life gain and draw power at the same time, or not the same time, but due to different effects, so it has some versatility that might actually turn out to be pretty good. Next is Belful Avatar. It's a 2 darkness, 3/4 avatar, and when it enters the field, your opponent discards a card. The 2 cost for only 3/4 is a little bit hard, but if you're running a darkness deck that maybe you're having a lot of fun with discard stuff, so you run Scorns, Nameless Mist, Lapis Darkstorm, different things like that, and you throw that in, so you still have that discard power, but you get a resonator out of it. So it's like it's a half of a Lapis Darkstorm, but the other half of discarding the card is replaced with a resonator, so it's actually not too bad, the more I think about it. I enjoy making opponents discard cards, so that could be a lot of fun. Next is Blazer Gil Rabus, the Pursuer. It's a 1 dark, 1 red, 2 void, 9/9 minion of Primogenitor, and when he enters your field, you get to destroy target J ruler. I like it because it's sort of just a play on the original ruler of him destroys J rulers, so obviously the resonator would be able to do the same. To only be a 9/9 with 4 cost, once again, seems to be a sort of running theme of their attack and defense of these cards is a little bit lower in relation to the cost. Sometimes the effects make up for it, sometimes they don't. In this case, I would say probably not, just because if you're running a dark deck, you probably have Black Moonbeam, and so you want to have that 2 cost instant that you can play on your opponent's turn as soon as they deactivate this. It doesn't have quick cast, so you have to wait till your turn in order to do its effect. But if you're running like a hard-hitting deck and you don't want to clutter it up with spells, it could see some play. I personally probably won't, though. Next, this is the first of a series of resonators we'll be getting I really like. This is a Water Wizard. So this is 1 blue cost, 2/2 wizard. Tap it to produce blue. You can only spend that will to play chants, and it has the effect of whenever you play a water chant, you get to look at the top card of your deck, and then you get to choose to either put it back on the top of your deck or at the bottom of your deck. Obviously, the obvious thing is this will slot well in Xion, but it also just slots well in any deck. It's similar to Sacred Elf and other mana-producing resonators. except one, it produces will that's different than others. It does have the drawback of you can only play chance, but that's not too big a drawback for a lot of those decks. And it's replaced by having effect, and it's a continuous effect for any spell, not just ones that you pay for it. Our cats are getting into boxes. So it's really nice, and like I said, that'll be first in the series that we'll see. The second one in that series. Next is Fire Wizard, same as the last one. It's a red 2/2 wizard, and tap to produce fire. You can only spend to play chance again. His effect is whenever you play a fire chant, it deals 100 damage to target J Resonator. This one I really like. You can, and so for the first time you have sort of a, not the first time, but you have this sort of easy will producing resonator that you can put in a fire deck. So fire deck you could play turn 1, and during your opponent's turn you're now able to not only have a resonator on the field, but tap it to do lightning strike or demon flame. So if they put down a 6 cost resonator, you could lightning strike it and you're dealing a 6, so now you can suddenly destroy resonators you couldn't before. I'm not sure how the stacking works, and I apologize. Joey's the one who's familiar with these, but for example, if you were playing Demon Flame and you played Demon Flame, does his 100 damage hit the resonator first, therefore Demon Flame would destroy said resonator, or does it happen simultaneously or in a reverse order? I'm not sure, but if that works, that'd be super awesome to pair with Demon Flame. Either way, I'm definitely going to be running some of these in my decks because I run a lot of fire stuff usually. Next is Karmic Governor Laplace. Is 1 green, 1 red, 3 void, 12/12 clown. It's a flying clown. He has flying and first strike, so it's a pretty scary clown, I assume, even though it doesn't have wings. Whenever it attacks J Resonators, you control gain flying and first strike till end of turn. I think it's pretty cool. 5 costs is, so it's definitely a late game thing, but being able to have, especially if you have a lot of Resonators or J Rulers and that don't passively have flying, being able to give them that, especially for like a game-ending kill, would definitely be very nice. Next is Gil Lapis, the Pure Youth. It's 3 dark, 3 void, 1,000,000 Wanderer. When he enters the field, your opponent discards a card, or your opponent chooses a card they control, and then you basically destroy all non-magic stones except for that card and the card your opponent chose, and then you put a 100/100 counter on him for every single card destroyed this way. So it clears the entire field of everything except for magic stones, additions, regalia, resonators, J Rulers, I'd assume. It's pretty cool. 6 cost is really high, considering, for example, you can, there's a little bit of build up, but I in my Millium deck, I just started playing the Shift, Reflect, Refrain, and essentially for 5 cost, you do the same thing except you destroy all of their stuff. They don't get to choose something that's not destroyed. But this is for a dark deck, though. You just slot in 1 or 2 just to have for late game, maybe, but it's kind of interesting. Next is Pandora, the Goddess of Light and Dark. It's 1 light, 1 dark, human. And whenever this card attacks, you force roll, and your opponent loses life equal to the roll times 100. And whenever this card blocks, you force roll and gain, do the same thing, but you gain life. And it's also, did I say 5/7? I think so. I really like that card too. Like I mentioned, I run a Millium deck, uses force roll. She's a human, but this Vingolf also has that other card that makes cards in your hand count as Fairy Tale. So I could play that darkness with light since I run my Millium ruler. And just being able to passively attack and gain life, or block and gain life and attack and make your opponent lose a life is pretty awesome. I assume we're only going to get force cards trickled in here and there, which is good. It's not really, a good deck idea, but I enjoy it. It's pretty fun, but I'm glad there's at least some support trickling in for it. Next is Barathos, World's Greatest Eccentric. He's a 2 red, 2 void, 1,100. What is he? Damio. It has swiftness, and when this card enters your field, you rest all other J resonators. So, obviously, having a defense of 100 is kind of painful, especially if you were just to play him against a Mikage deck that can tap one and instantly kill him. But having swiftness and resting all their stuff is a good way to like do a game-ending kill if he's able to survive the enter and all that. I won't play him, but I'm sure someone will prove me wrong and show he's super awesome, maybe. Next is Vafrefner, Giant Wise Man, 1 green, 1 blue, 2 void, 6/6, Giant. He has Quick Cast, and when this card enters your field, cancel target Resonator spell. So, if your opponent plays, for example, Hook, you play him in response with Quick Cast, and it'll cancel that Resonator casting, and then you'll have a 6/6 Resonator on the field. 4 cost is kind of high for considering your main purpose of him would be to cancel, and so you'd have to leave 4 will up just to be able to run him to cancel, which could work, but just to do the same effect as a Seal of Wind and Light or something like that for a 2 cost. And you're paying 2 extra just to have a 6/6, and not only that, but keeping that much will open on your side of the field that you're not playing, that you might not even play that Resonator to cancel something. It's kind of risky. I won't play him, but he's kind of cool. Next is Shion the Entrancing Songstress. This one's interesting. It's 2 blue, 1 void, 7/7 human, and I like it because, well, first it's Quick Cast. I like Quick Cast Resonators. When this card enters your field, J Resonators you control gain +0 or 0 plus X 100 until end of turn, where X is the number of water magic stones you control. That's cool, because since it has Quick Cast, you can play on your opponent's turn, give your the entire defense that your opponent might not be expecting, so your cards either survive or do some other effect. She also gains barrier against Resonators as long as you have Shion as your ruler. So I thought it was pretty cool and interesting that they have this Resonator in this Vingolf deck that is meant to pair with a ruler outside of it. Not just in the sense of that it works well, but in the wording it goes with another ruler. So I thought that was really cool. Definitely will be a good card to play in Shion. Next, we're getting back to what we were talking about before with the wizards. We have our Darkness Wizard. 1 dark, 2/2 wizard. You tap to produce dark. Once again, you can only play it with chance. His effect is whenever you play a darkness chant, you may put the top card of your deck into your graveyard. So you don't have to, it's a choice, but that's pretty interesting. Once again, I like that it has extra effects on, and you're now able to have these mana producing resonators for all the colors. Next is Triton, Emperor of the Seven Seas, 2 blue, 4/4 myth. When this card enters your field, gain control of target resonator till end of turn. This is pretty awesome. We haven't had something like this in a little bit. There's the obvious thing of you can use him, grab a resonator, give it swiftness, and then attack with it, maybe. It's only 2 costs, so you have enough extra will to accomplish other things within that turn. Theoretically, you can also, like I was talking before, is to Michael, you can use him late game, say you need to get that last bit of damage in, you have 1 resonator up, don't have any destroy things, and you just need to get past their resonator, plop him in, grab that resonator out of the way, swing for the last damage. So because it's only 2 costs, there's a lot of versatility in it, and obviously there's a lot of other effects I'm sure you can do once that resonator's on your side of the field. Next is Arthur, Paladin, King of the Round Table. He's a 2 light, 2 void, 9/9, Knight of the Round Table. We haven't seen those in a while. I had a Knight of the Round Table deck. I really enjoyed it. They're a lot of fun. Him is when this card enters your field, choose a race. J Resonator's control of the chosen race, gain +2/+2. Pretty cool. It just gives a permanent +2/+2 buff. As far as I can tell, I assume applies to him as well. From 4 costs is still a little bit high, but I'm not too mad having more Knights of the Round Table. It's better than a lot of, or at least several of the other ones, so I could definitely see people or myself slotting that in to a Knight of the Round Table deck. Next we get the Light Wizard. 1 light, 2/2 wizard, produces spend light, can only spend on chance. His effect is whenever you play a light chant, you gain 200 life. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. I really like it. They're really pushing the gain life theme with light decks, obviously, but yeah, I think it's cool. I'll run it. And next we have the World Tree's Guardian. He's 1 green, 3/3, tree man. You can also tap 1 green and his card will gain +2/+2 till end of turn. That's pretty interesting. It's a stacking effect, so you can keep tapping stuff to keep buffing him till end of turn. 1 cost 3/3. It's alright, but you could probably see some use out of it. Next, I kind of like this one. It's a Hellsing Hunter of the Undead, 2 green, 1 void, 8/7 elf. And when this card enters your field, remove target Darkness Resonator from the game, and you can prevent all damage that would be dealt to this card by Darkness Resonators because it's Hellsing. It's pretty cool. It's a 3 cost 8/7, but obviously if you're playing against a dark deck, it's extremely helpful. If dark decks start to become pretty strong or powerful, it's definitely at minimum something that's good to put in your side deck. I don't think it's something to put in your main deck necessarily, unless it's something you're expecting at local tournaments and things like that. So those were the Resonators that were spoiled. The other thing they did was release the list of spells that they're reprinting from Alice Cluster and apparently Lapis Cluster as well. I'm just going to go over real quick some of the highlights of the main ones. I mean, it's most of them, but the notable ones that I thought were cool. I really like it because at minimum we're getting full art versions of these spells that either, some of them we might have had full art versions, but at least now we have the full art version with the correct text, the correct titling, and all that stuff. Some of them we didn't have full art versions because the printing in Curse of the Frozen Casket, for example, or the fact that it was just a common and so they never get a full art, so now we do. So I'm pretty excited about it. So just listing a couple of the cards I'm excited for. Scorn of Dark Alice, obviously. It's a popular card. Really excited for Zero's Magic Light. I run those in my deck. They're all the textured versions right now, so I'm going to have to decide if I prefer textured or the full art, or the full art foil, if that's going to be expensive. Charlotte's Water Transformation Magic, obviously. That's pretty awesome. Wind Secluded Refuge. Rapid Growth. That's one I don't see a lot, but maybe people will start playing again if they'll remember it. Beast Queen's Counterattack. I used to play this card all the time in my Sylvia deck. I'm probably going to be rebuilding my Sylvia deck once Vingolf 3 comes out, so that'll come in handy. Blood Boil. Michael's running these in his deck. I don't know if it's the video we posted or there's another set of games we did that I couldn't post. One of those, he was winning with Blood Boil. It's a pretty cool card. Nice to see the full art. Burn to Cinders, I ran in my Sylvia deck as well. I really like that card. Glorious Castle Town. This one, I think it was okay before. I ran a pure life gain deck for a little bit and I ran it in there. But this paired with the new Light Wizard, so every time you play a spell or play a chant, you gain life, so it pops off that ability, so it's a lot more consistent to be able to get that buff. Heavenly Gust, obviously, really pretty card. Nice to get a full art. Separation of Body and Soul. This card was seeing a lot of play. I saw it sort of drop off, but I think it still has potential. Protective Barrier. I think this is a very underplayed card in general. I don't even play it, but it's really good. Prevent all damage that will be dealt to target Resonator until end of turn. A lot of people, I heard people saying to run this with the Arla Stone deck, the One Trick Pony deck. That way, when you bring out your stone, if it can't die, then you can keep perpetually swinging no matter how many times they block. So, but it also has other uses. There's a Manifestation of Power, which I just thought was interesting because how recent some of this stuff was. I still think it's a little bit expensive, but it's interesting. Unseen Pressure, obviously. It's a great card. 1 cost, destroy target resonator with 400 or less attack. That might start seeing more play, especially with all these mana producing wizards. Demon Flame, for obvious reasons. It's a great versatile card. Anything from Mikage to possibly that combo I talked about earlier. It might be interesting, but obviously it's a great card, so it's great that they're keeping it in rotation. Precious Call to Action. Oscar is actually running this in his Lumia deck. You'll see that in the game. Hopefully we'll upload later this week, but it's a pretty good card. Obviously, especially if it's in a beast deck, but even outside of that, it's a good 1 cost card. And last is a sort of another, I think, overlooked card. Final Word. It's 1 cost, quick cast, and target Resonator gain, blocking Resonator gains 1,000 to end of turn. At that, it's great if your opponent's, say, swinging with something that's really powerful, even a J ruler that they're just expecting you to block with Bantha Fodder type of thing. So you're able to surprise that in and kill something that they might not have just been expecting. But yeah, like I said, those aren't all the spells, just the ones that I felt were notable. It's most of them, but doesn't mean the other ones are bad. I just didn't feel too hot on them. But yeah, these were the last set of spoilers before Vingolf comes out. I'm pretty excited. We'll hopefully have a box opening either a little bit before, or at the latest the day of that it comes out, of the new set of Vingolf. And tomorrow, or technically today, I'll be uploading the day that I'm uploading this, if you're watching this today. The spoilers, they said, are going to start for Dragon Emperor, so we'll be able to start looking at those as well, and I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah.